Welcome to the Surrendering Like Sarah podcast. We're your hosts, Megan Bear
and Brooke Avon. Surrendering to God's calling for life can be hard to do, especially as the wife of a medical student, resident, fellow, or attending.
Sarah's example of surrender in Genesis 12 shows how fruitful our lives can be when we choose to let go and obey God's call.
Join us as we interview women in medical marriages striving to surrender like Sarah. We are so glad you're here.
Welcome back to the Surrendering Like Sarah podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Nicole, and I'm really excited about our guest today, Natalie DeKryger. I met Natalie while my husband was in medical school, and we have continued to be in community with one another since then. Natalie is the wife to Will, who's a fourth-year medical student at Penn State and is applying general surgery for residency. Natalie is an oncology nurse and in her free time enjoys running and catching up with friends over coffee. Will and Natalie are anxiously anticipating the birth of their first child in a couple weeks and getting all the sleep while they can. Natalie, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
Sure. Okay, so will you start us off by telling us how you and your husband met and when medicine became part of your story?
Yeah, so Will and I met about a few weeks after he moved here to Hershey for med school. He was just kind of church hopping, checking out the area, and he came to our church. And I was sitting in the pew right behind him with my friend Meredith that Sunday. And Meredith knew Will, and she was like, "Wait, Natalie, have you met Will yet?" And I was like, "No, I haven't." And we met each other, and we got to talking and really connected. And then a couple weeks later, our church had a picnic. We talked more about medicine and our life. I was like, wow, this guy is like really awesome. And it's funny, he was having a group of friends over for pork chops. So random. And he needed a folding table. And somehow I had a folding table in my car. And I was like, hey, I have one in my car. You can borrow it. And he borrowed it. And when he returned it, he came to my house. And it was then that he was like, hey, why don't we get coffee and catch up and just get to know each other more? And so we got coffee, and it was supposed to be like a study date, I guess, because I was getting my master's as well. But we ended up talking the entire time and not even studying. So that was a great way to meet him over a folding table and at church, which is a great combination.
Yeah, that's great. And then, so medicine was just like part of your story from the beginning. Because he had just started school. He
had just started med school. And it's funny looking back now, and I'm sure a lot of the other wives listening can relate. On our first date, I remember asking him, what he was interested in. And he was like, I'm really interested in pediatrics. Like, I love kids. He's like, I definitely do not want to do general surgery. I know that for a fact. And so it's just funny thinking back. And honestly, at that time, I'm sure the Lord was just looking down and being like, okay, like, you think that you have it all planned out, but you really don't.
Yeah.
So it's just, it's neat to think back to that, of just how at first, we thought, okay, like in my head, I was like, oh, pediatrics, that's awesome that he wants to be a pediatrician, and pediatricians are great. And honestly, it is funny looking back too, because when he first said that he didn't want to do general surgery, it was almost a relief in my head. I was like, okay, good. He doesn't want to be a surgeon, because they work really long hours and have a crazy schedule. But it's just crazy how the Lord can just change your heart and change your perspective on things.
Yeah. Yeah. So you guys are because when we're recording this, it is September. So you are in like applying mode.
No, we definitely are. He's finishing up his application. We just sat down and looked at his application, the places that he wants to apply to and the signals, and really hashed that out.
Yeah.
Yeah, of what that would look like for our family. And I think for me, it's just been kind of a process as well, just thinking about my life. I've grown up in this area in central PA my entire
Yeah.
life. And so I think that that's been kind of challenging to think about, like, okay, like, you know, trying to balance his needs and, the program, the best program for him, but also, as a wife, be making sure that, I'm taking care, my needs
Yeah.
are met as
Totally.
well. And it's not just like, okay, you're like, you want to go wherever? Sounds good. I'll go with you.
Yeah.
Really making sure that, where we end up, like I also thrive as well. In his Excel spreadsheet, the many programs and the many things listed out, one of the columns was, okay, is there a support system here, for Natalie? And my definition was like, okay, is there someone that I can call and be like, hey, I have a dentist appointment. Can you watch the baby for a couple hours or whatever?
Yeah.
Like, and so I think we really narrowed down, like, okay, do we know somebody in the area when we're applying? Because that was super important for me. And for Will, it's super important that it's a great program where he can be challenged academically. And they have a great, general surgery program as well. So yeah, we took a lot of time to think about that, kind of weigh the pros and cons of every program. I think at first I was more like, oh, like you come up with your list and then we can talk about it. But then I realized more and more that it was just important for me to weigh in as
Yeah.
well on
You're
the
part of
application
this too.
process. Yeah, exactly. Whether I like it or not,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Well, it'll be
yeah,
exciting to find out where
yeah,
you go.
no, definitely. Yeah, we feel, yeah, just very at peace with the process, and we're
Good.
excited to, kind of buckle up and see where the Lord leads.
Ugh.
It's going to be exciting, and I'm sure going to have its
Yeah.
ups and downs of, yeah, of just being very just anxious
Yeah.
about it at times, but also just knowing that wherever the Lord leads us, it's where he placed us. And
Yeah.
just having that weight of, when it comes to match, you kind of have a say in it, but you also don't. So I think it gives us just a relief as well, just knowing that, we can kind of guide where we want to apply, but in the end, we really don't have a say. So in a
Yeah.
way, that gives us peace as well.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I never thought I would be living in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
So, but God has
And here you are.
totally provided for us here.
Yeah.
And I know he totally will for you guys
Yeah.
too. But it is very scary. It's a scary thing to just like put out into the world to be like,
Hmm.
okay,
Here we
especially
go. Yeah.
from like your family is here
Hmm.
in the
Definitely.
Hershey area.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. And it's just trying to balance that. And yeah, we're excited to see what happens next.
yeah, very exciting. Okay, so you mentioned that when you met Will, you were also working on completing your master's degree. So with you both in school, right? Him in medical school, you doing that. What were some challenges that came with that season? And you were like newly dating.
Hmm. Yeah, no, it was definitely, I was thinking about that just back that season, because not only was I getting my master's, which I highly recommend, if you're single, to just go ahead and get your master's while you're single. Like
Yeah.
I'm very thankful that I did that. But I was also working night shift and,
Oh,
just newly dating Will. It was a lot to balance. And honestly, most of our dates were to coffee shops and just, sitting down and getting work done. I think during that time, we really had to just emphasize being intentional with the time that we did have, the free time. I remember, weekends, if we had a big exam on Friday, he really valued like having that Saturday to like go do something. So we would go to DC for the day or have another fun, activity planned. That was really important to him, and he really valued that. So I really wanted to make sure that, I got my work done as, before that day. That way we could have that intentional time together, because, the weekend after an exam, you don't have anything going on. So it's like, might as well take up that time to, hang out and really dive deep and get to know each other. And when we were studying, to really just focus on studying. That way we would have time, driving to the coffee shop to talk, or afterwards to get dinner together and, catch up and get to know each other more. So I think that looking back on that time, we were really trying to be intentional with the time that we did have to really get to know each other deeper, on a deeper level. And it helped too. I think I forgot to mention this. It helped too. My townhouse and his apartment complex were across the street from each other. So we
Oh.
literally spent probably every waking moment with each other when we were dating. Like, he would come over to my house for dinner, or I would go over to his house for dinner.
Aw.
We would meet up before I went up to like night shift. So that was really special. Maybe we spent too much time together. I don't know, but we spent a lot of time
It
together.
worked. It worked out.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's funny, he had a roommate at the time, and I didn't have a roommate. So when I went to work, sometimes he would come to my house and just be hanging out at my house because he like wanted that time alone. So it's funny. I don't know. It's funny like looking back on, that time together. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think we were just trying to just be really intentional with the free time that he had.
Yeah. Those are like really good rhythms to have in place already too, like just thinking ahead to residency and
Mhm.
the demands of residency and being really intentional with your time off, like
Yeah.
his time off that that he was already intentional about that. So that's really cool to hear that
Yeah.
you kind of already have that like rhythm
The rhythm
expectation
down
in place. Yeah.
of just like, yeah, of when it's study mode, it's study mode. And
Yeah.
when, we can relax, we can really relax.
Yeah, which is good. I mean,
Mhm.
for me, when my husband Ben started residency, he came home and started like first day of residency and started reading a textbook. And I texted a friend who had already been in residency, and I was like, "This is horrible. Is this what it's like?" And she was like, "It gets better," and it did. I mean, it does. But I was like,
Yeah.
especially after fourth year of medical school, they have
Oh
so much.
yeah.
At least in the second
Oh
half,
my
they
gosh.
have so
Yeah.
much time,
No,
and you're like,
definitely.
"Wow, this is amazing."
Definitely,
Yeah,
for sure.
that was yeah. Okay, so you guys, so I know this because I know you and because you shared it with us, but you guys got engaged like pretty quickly after
Mhm.
dating. So could you tell us like about that season? How you knew that this was like the right thing that God was calling you to, and how God was guiding your relationship in that
Mhm.
time?
Yeah, no, definitely. So Will and I met like the beginning of August, or in the middle of August. Started dating like 2 weeks later after that. And then we dated for 87 days and then got engaged. And it's looking at that now, it's very wild, the fact that he was in med school, and yeah,
Yeah.
I was working as well full time. But we had such a peace about it. We knew that we both had the same direction in life, that we both love the Lord and we wanted to serve him, and we enjoyed talking medicine and being in medicine. So we had that common interest as well. And I think what really helped as well, Will was just really always just really encouraging in our relationship. And I never had to think about like, oh, does he like me or not? How does he feel about me? He was always
Mhm.
just very honest with how he felt, and just moving forward in our relationship. Maybe it's just like the blunt surgeon personality of just not sugarcoating things, or just being really, yeah, vulnerable and honest, which I appreciated
Yeah.
in our relationship. And I feel like that really, highlighted and really propelled things to move forward. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, some of our family at first was like, "Whoa, like you haven't even, been dating for that long." Because we started talking, I feel like engagement, like, oh my goodness, probably like 2 months into dating, and then he got the ring over Thanksgiving break and then proposed December 9th. So it was very, yeah, very fast, but it just made sense, honestly, of just, why pay double rent when you can get married and he can move in with me and he doesn't have to pay rent anymore. So it just made, yeah. And I think the fact that we spent so much time together, just in close proximity with each other, that really helped as well, just to propel our relationship even further. Kind of crazy looking back, and his classmates were like, "Whoa, dude, you just met this girl and you're getting engaged." We got engaged like the day after his like cardio anatomy exam. So he was like, I can't imagine
Wow.
what that man was going through, of just like trying to study and focus on like
Yeah.
the anatomy exam, but then also like, oh my goodness, I'm proposing. And
Yeah,
it was fun.
totally.
We got engaged at the coffee shop that we had our first date at. So it was really special.
So
So
sweet.
yeah, very sweet.
Aw.
But very crazy looking back that, yeah, we got engaged so soon after meeting and then dating. But yeah, we both felt such a peace about it, just from the Lord, and just knowing that we were definitely better equipped, married versus single. So
Yeah.
it was a great way to
Yeah. I
just
mean,
move forward.
yeah. I think like realistically, if I think about my relationship,
Hmm.
I knew I wanted to marry him like pretty early. We were just in
Hmm.
college, so it didn't, you don't usually do that.
Yeah.
But you guys just did it.
Yeah. Just jumped. And I think it helped too. We're out of college and kind of in the more professional field. But yeah, and then we got married 7 months after that. So I had not even known Will for an entire year by the
7
time we got, yeah.
months.
So yeah, we didn't even know each other for an entire year by the time we got married. But I mean, we felt like we knew each other for ages.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
yeah, and it's
incredible.
been, yeah, very, very special.
Yes. And you've been married for 3 years?
We just
2?
celebrated our second
2
wedding
years.
anniversary in July. So about
Okay.
2 years, a little over 2 years now.
Yay.
So
Exciting.
yeah, very
Okay.
exciting.
Ooh. Okay. So, along talking about marriage, cultivating a healthy marriage can be really hard in any relationship, and then especially a relationship where there's a partner in medicine,
Hmm.
and you're in medicine too. So, can you tell us things that have helped you and your husband stay connected amidst the many demands you're facing?
Yeah, no, that's been really important and definitely an ongoing conversation with Will and I think we have realized, like, as we got married, we exhibit, just our stress at different ways, and just trying to like communicate that as well. That way we still feel connected with each other. I think the biggest thing for us is just, at the end of the day, even if it's just 10 minutes or if it's 30 minutes, we love just to sit on the couch together and just debrief our day and just be able to have that undivided attention to spend with one another. Or even honestly, sometimes it's him, at second year, it was him doing Anki for a little bit. I would just sit on the couch with him, and that like meant so much for him just to be there, that I was just sitting next to him. So we had to like, it was just an ongoing conversation of what looks like to be connected in marriage in the midst of the demands of studying. And it's been fun too, since I do work at the same hospital. Sometimes we have lunch together.
Yeah.
Like today we had lunch together and it was like so fun
Aw.
to just sit outside and catch up on each other's days and, see people that we know walk by and stop by and talk to us. That's been a great way as well to connect throughout the day. I mean, of course, no, not everyone has that ability to get lunch with their spouse at the workplace, but that's been a great way for us to connect. And then also, yeah, at the end of the day, just to sit on the couch and debrief our day, whether or not that looks like him doing Anki for a little bit. And I would just sit next to him and, study along with him and learn some things as well. I realized, being married these last 2 years with him, in medicine and learning kind of the ropes of the classes and, the rotations, he really valued me asking questions about it and asking questions about,
Mm.
his classes and his rotations. So I feel like that's been a really great way that we've connected as well. Just learning more about, kind of diving into what he is learning as well.
Yeah. That's great. You
So
probably understand the Anki things and a little bit more than maybe some of
yeah,
us might.
I was always very proud when I like got a question right or something. I'd be like, yes, I got it.
Yes. I remember
That
that
was
too.
not a lot, but sometimes I would
Okay,
get them right.
sometimes I also did that. I am not medical at all though, so I would just guess. But sometimes I was right, and it was
Yeah,
very, very exciting. So,
yeah, it's impressive when you get it right.
yeah, you're like, "Oh, I could do this."
Yeah, I
Okay.
got this. I got
You're like, "Oh, all right."
this.
Okay, so now, like in your guys' story, you're expecting your first child. Just so
Yeah,
exciting. What has
very exciting.
pregnancy been like for you? And how have you seen God working like in your life, in Will's
Hmm.
life, in your
Yeah,
marriage?
no, definitely. Yeah, it's been very exciting. Yeah, when we got married, we knew that we wanted to have kids, Lord willing, like that he would bless us with kids. And so many people have told us, there wasn't like one person in particular, so many people told us like there's never a perfect time to have kids. Like,
Yeah.
especially, when you're in medicine, like there's never a right, like, okay, this is the perspective, the best time to have kids. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, there's probably like some better times and other times, but you'll make it work no matter what. I think we dove into that just thinking, like, okay, like we're going to take that advice. We knew we wanted to spend, maybe being married a couple years before we had kids. That way we really have that time to, get to know each other even more, because there's been things as any marriage that as longer, the longer you're married, you kind of learn more about the person and
Yeah.
as you get married. So yeah, so we were very excited to find out that we were expecting earlier this year. It was, yeah, it was like, it was planned, but also like just kind of a surprise too of the timing. But yeah, it was definitely just honestly perfect timing too of how just the Lord orchestrated everything with Will's schedule. Because right now he's just on
Mhm.
humanities and then he'll be on virtual radiology for, the next month, which is,
Oh, great.
yeah, the timing is great. He's not on, he's done with his AIs. So we're really just, yeah, just really thankful that the Lord orchestrated his schedule to match up well for the birth of our child. That way we have that time to
Yeah.
really spend with the baby and bond. So it's been overall the pregnancy has been great. Yeah, it really has, knock on wood, been an easy pregnancy, and we're really thankful for that. And I think for Will, it's been really neat to for him to in his acting internships, when it comes up about like, oh, do you have kids, do you have family, it's been neat for him to share with the residents like, oh, my wife and I are expecting. And I
Yeah.
know that has brought up a lot of great conversations with attendings and other residents about like their kids and how they make it work. And it's been encouraging to him to hear from the surgeons who are attendings about how like, hey, it is hard like having kids in med school and residency and attending life, but it really is worth it. And it's been encouraging for him to hear how they make it work and their honest perspective too of like, hey, you're gonna miss baseball games, you're gonna miss basketball games,
Mm.
but the kids, your children are resilient and they'll adapt to it. He was saying his one attending was telling him a story of sometimes the kids would come to the hospital for dinner. And then one day, like this little girl, they were driving by the hospital and she was like, oh, that's where daddy lives. And it's like, yeah, like
Oh.
they just kind of, it's kind of sad in a way, but it's like, I don't know, it makes you put in perspective of like, okay, like, his daughter just said that nonchalantly, like, oh, that's where daddy lives. Like, like I'm not, they just kind of know like, okay, like, he's at the hospital a lot, but, we still see
Yeah.
him. So that was a funny story that Will like shared to his attending how to walk through. It's kind of sad, but it's like, okay, kids
Yeah.
are resilient and they'll bounce back. And, I was encouraging for Will to hear, his side of the story, the attending side of having kids. And yeah, it's been
Yeah.
neat for me to like, ask other wives of surgeons or other, medical spouses as well of like, hey, how do you make this work?
Yeah.
Like, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Yeah, so it's been
Yeah.
really great to kind of walk through the last 9 months. And we'll see. I mean, we're going to continue walking through it as far as
Yeah.
intern year, and I'm sure that that's not going to be an easy road at times, and I'll definitely just need the Lord to just give me grace and patience and perseverance, which I know he will.
Yeah. I think that's great that you've been able to get some encouragement from that
Mm-hmm.
too, because it is kind of a lot of like, if you're hearing stories about like, oh, your husband's gonna miss this and he's gonna miss this and
Mm-hmm.
he's gonna miss this, it's like that can be discouraging. It can
Oh,
feel,
definitely.
but it's nice that you've been able to also talk to that to wives and
Mm-hmm.
spouses and hear like that there's good things about it too, and
Mm-hmm.
there's, it's doable, it's a thing that lots of people do.
Yeah, definitely. And it's not, you know, you're still gonna see your husband, and
Yeah.
you just have to again kind of go back to when Will and I were dating, you just being really intentional with the time that you do have off and the time that you are free.
Mhm.
And kind of realize, I mean, you're not going to be able to have dinner every single night together and you're going to have really long hours, but the time that you do have together to really make that count
Yeah.
and
I
be
think it's great
intentional
you
with
guys
that
have
time.
already, like, set that up in your
Mm-hmm.
relationship. You already have that expectation that, work study time is that time, but then family
Yeah.
time is family time. That's
Yeah,
great.
definitely. For sure. And that's been, definitely kind of an ongoing thing that we have had to learn more and more,
Yeah.
but it definitely is is, yeah, encouraging to learn that, and just realize too, like, even during his acting internships, there were some days that, he'd leave the house at 5 a.m. and then, I would expect him to be home for dinner, and he would text me, be like, "Hey, like, there's a case that just came in, like, I should probably stay for that." They said
Mm,
I could go, but, like, it's the
yeah.
kind of thing, it's like, they said that he could go, but he really should stay for that.
Right.
And, there was days that he would end up coming home at, like, 9 p.m. And, I would have to realize, like, okay, like, I can't expect him to come home at a certain time. I have to realize that, there might be things that come up, that he needs to stay at the hospital for. So
Hmm.
in a way, that's been, like, good preparation as well for residency, because I'm sure there'll be plenty of days like that in residency where it's like, okay, he
Yeah.
leaves at 5 a.m. and he doesn't come home until 9:30, and just not getting myself worked up about that, and just knowing, like, okay, like, it's okay that I have to go to Bible study by myself. I have to do X, Y, and Z. Like, it's okay. Like, he
Yeah.
still loves me. He still cares for our family, and just having that resilience as well.
Yeah. That's great. I mean, that's hard. That's a
Oh yeah,
hard
definitely.
like lesson or to realize. I don't even know
Hmm.
if it's a lesson. It's just a hard
Yeah.
thing to like realize that like, okay, there's gonna be times when he does not come home when he said he was gonna come
Hmm.
home, and that's
Yeah.
okay. Like,
Yeah,
and it's
exactly.
just a
And you'll make it
season.
work. And mhm.
Yeah.
Definitely, for sure. And I think, like, Will and I have, I appreciate, like, Will just gives me the heads up text of, like, "Hey, I'm not gonna be home, like, I don't know when, but I'm not gonna be home at the time I thought."
Yeah.
And so it's good preparation now, even as a fourth year med student, like, he's gonna be sending these texts, I'm sure, in residency as well.
Mhm. Yeah, totally.
100%, so
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. I think you probably it's
yeah.
definitely different. Your husband in surgery versus mine in anesthesia, but
Mhm. Yeah.
mine can like text me during a case, yours can't.
Yeah.
So it's a little different in that sense,
Yeah.
but the fact that the expectation and the precedent has already been set is
Mhm.
great.
For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, you
Like
just
the habit
for
is already
me, I just
formed.
look at I'm thankful for Find My Friends, that you can just look and be like, "Okay, it looks like he's still in the OR."
Yes.
He's like, "Did
Yes.
not walk into his car yet."
Yes. Literally,
So,
literally me looking at him like, where are
yeah.
you?
It's like, "Let me zoom in."
Yeah. I'm like, it's time for you to be home. Where are you?
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Oh man. Okay, I don't know if you have an answer to this, and if you don't, that's okay.
Yeah. Okay.
But okay, so we know that God's word brings life to every moment of our lives. Do you have a Bible verse or a passage that has encouraged you in your walk as a believer or in your marriage or like in like seasons of your life?
Yeah, I think right now, I actually wrote it down, that way I didn't
Oh,
have to fumble around for
okay.
it. So right now, a verse that's been really sticking out to me is Philippians 1:6. And it says, I'm sure of this, that he who began a good work in you will bring it to completion at the day of Jesus Christ. That verse has just been really sticking with me, just especially over the last couple weeks, as just we prepare for the birth of our baby
Yeah.
and just think about, our life going forward. This verse is really stuck of just the remembrance of just the Lord's faithfulness, and there's also just the ongoing sanctification that he provides and gives,
Mm,
just in your life, of just that assurance that he who began a good work in you will bring it to completion. At times it might not look like what you think that your life will look like, but he will bring it to completion, and that ongoing sanctification in your life. So yeah, Philippians 1:6. That's been really a
yeah.
verse that I have been meditating on and thinking about. And just as our life is about to go through a lot of changes right now, and yeah, even in, match day coming up here in March, and then
Hmm.
graduation, the Lord's faithful, and we just have to continue just to look to him to find that grace and that ongoing sanctification, just ultimately just to glorify Jesus.
Yeah, that's great. That's really encouraging. I'm glad you've been able to find encouragement in God's word
Mm-hmm.
in this time. So I think sometimes for me, it's easy when things are hard to be like, this is like it's I think it's easy to just like walk away when times are
Yeah.
hard or like try to ignore God. But I think
Yeah.
it's great that because there are a lot of changes coming to your family,
Yeah, no, definitely, for sure. And I
a
mean, it
lot of
hasn't
big
been
things.
all rainbows and butterflies, definitely, our our journey the last like few years has had to have a lot of like, yeah, hard conversations of just looking at like, okay, like this is something that's really hard for me and I need this from you, I need X, Y, and Z. Like, I need to run to the Lord for this. But throughout it all, like we're just been reminded of his faithfulness. Just, yeah, for me, like bringing Will into my life was a huge blessing, very unexpected.
Yeah.
Did not expect that I would, start dating the cute med student in front of me at church. But it's been neat to just look back on our life and yeah, and for us as a wife to see just how the Lord has worked in Will's life as well. As just kind of going from a first year med student to now a fourth year med student, just super confident in just his ability and just in his walk with the Lord as well. And yeah, as his wife, having that front row seat to cheer him on and when he stresses out about the exam, to internally stress out as well, but realize like, okay, like he doesn't need that. Like he just needs encouragement and just reminding of him of who he is in the Lord. And yeah, that's been a blessing as well.
Yeah. That's great. That's really cool. So our podcast name, Surrendering Like Sarah, comes from Genesis 12, when Abraham received the call from God to go from your country, your people, and your father's household to the land I will show you. God promises to make Abraham into a great nation and tells him that all peoples on earth will be blessed through him. In Genesis 12:5, we learn that he took his wife Sarah and all that they had to obey God's call. Though Abraham received the call, Sarah surrendered to it as well, as she and her husband left the country they knew to obey God's call for their family. We see a beautiful similarity between Sarah's surrender to God's plan and the story of a spouse to someone in medicine. So with that, how are you currently, or how have you previously learned to surrender like Sarah?
Yeah, no, it's definitely been a challenge. Yeah, just in my life. Like I think in my head when we, were first thinking about like residency, like I was like, oh, we're definitely gonna like stay here. Like no doubt about it. Like I want to stay here, and I mean, who knows, we might still end up staying here. Like, and that would be great. But I think for me, the Lord has really just softened my heart to just being open to potentially like moving away and just looking at that of just like me being remembering that, hey, wherever He leads us, like He will be with me and He will give me the strength as well. I mean, of course, doesn't look like moving out to, Arizona or California, but, just having that strength to, you know, potentially leave this area that I've grown up in. And yeah, it's an exact, story of what it looks like for Sarah, just to have that open hand and open heart to wherever the Lord leads. And I think that has strengthened our marriage as well, of just having that mindset, because I definitely was very closed off to like any other hospital, any other place. Yeah, and I think that was challenging for Will and challenging for our marriage as well. So we really had to kind of dive deep and have some hard conversations about what, the next few years might look like. But I think, yeah, it's been just really beautiful to just have those open hands of just of like saying, all right, Lord, like I know that wherever we go, you're going to, bring community. It might be very challenging at first, might be hard, but I know, as Christians, first step is really just to find a solid church to get plugged into. And then, once that's found, He will definitely, Lord willing, bless us with community and just also just strengthen my heart as well. So that's been, yeah, just something that Will and I have definitely been praying about and thinking about what that looks like in the next 6 months. And it definitely is challenging when you're adding on another life, you're another, to think about and, throw into the mix of everything as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, you guys have gotten to see a lot of our community transition into residency and how and saw like, match day and expectations
Yeah.
of that and how they were met or not met.
Yeah.
And, you know, and you get to see then how like your friends are surrendering to God's where God has called them, whether that has turned out, to be easier or harder for them.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
yeah, so, but you have a great attitude about it, which is amazing.
Yeah. I'm sure there's gonna be some days that I definitely do not, but
That's
today
okay.
you caught me on a good day. But yeah, it's definitely been an ongoing,
Yeah.
ongoing process
Yeah. But at
for
the end of the
sure.
day,
But
God is n- I can't think of the phrase. I was going to say numbering your steps, but that is not it. God is,
open doors and closing
yeah.
doors. Yeah.
Yeah. God knows where you're going.
hmm
At the end of the day, he has it all planned. All the people, the community, the church, all the things,
Yeah,
which we can be encouraged by that.
definitely. And yeah, I find a lot of strength in that as well. Just knowing that he, yeah, knows where we're gonna end up in here, and
Yeah.
it might be here, it might be, another place,
Yeah.
but just resting in just his faithfulness of, yeah, I think back to, yeah, just this journey that we've been on so far
Mm-hmm.
in medicine, and just, you know, how he has opened doors for Will and opened doors for me as well, and just being just thankful for what he has blessed us with as well in this season.
Yeah. That's awesome. Well, Natalie, thanks so much for joining us. I know that so many people will be able to relate to your story, especially as we, you know, with match and
hmm
new family and all these things, and just how faithful you just the deep faith that you guys have in the Lord and his story. So thank you for
Yeah.
sharing.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, Nicole. It's been fun.
Yay. Thank you for listening to the Surrendering Like Sarah podcast. To make sure you don't miss a thing, follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Surrendering Like Sarah. If you would like to support us and the cost of producing the podcast, you can sponsor us on Buzzsprout. You can also purchase SLS stickers through the SLS team directly. All links can be found in our Instagram bio and the show notes. We'd like to leave you with a liturgy by William Temple titled For the Increase of Devotion. Almighty and eternal God, so draw our hearts to you, so guide our minds, fill our imaginations, so control our will, that we may be wholly yours, utterly dedicated to you. Then use us, we pray, as you will, always to your glory and for the welfare of your people, through our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.